What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Thunderbite29 here, and today I am back with another video. I know I've done a lot of Fortnite ranting, but as of my community page in the last 24 hours, a lot of people had wanted to see this video, so now it's here. So let's begin, shall we? But before I begin, I just want to say I loved this game. I loved it back in the old days, just like with Fortnite. This was also a once great game that I used to always love to play, and I've been playing this game since November of 2016, and I had a lot of fun during that time. But now, as of today, as it's now almost been 5 years since the game has been released, I just want to say this game is not as fun as it used to be, and I'm just going to list a couple reasons why. So let's get started. So number one, I would say, is lack of updates. Like, say during the events, like Junkenstein's Revenge, for example, which is what you're seeing on the screen now. This is exactly how it's been for, like, the last 4 years. All it is holding off waves and waves of Zomnixes, killing bosses and stuff, but the only change that they had was their power-ups and boosts. That's it. I still love the game mode, but what's so fun about doing the same thing over and over and over again every single year? I mean, if you're a first-year player or a second-year player, you would get the same satisfaction as you played the first time. But if you're a player like me who's played this game for almost 5 years now, you would completely understand. And as of last month, we saw Retribution 2021. There was really no change up at all, and the last time it ever received a major update was back in 2019 when they finally added the mission Havana. And the last time Lucio Ball ever received a major update was back in 2018 when they introduced the map Busan. But then it never received another update until 2020 when they decided to add walls into the middle of the map, which I felt like they should have done a long time ago, but they didn't. And the list just goes on. But that's not the main reason why people had lost interest in this game, which then will lead me to reason number 2. And number 2, toxicity. Well, just like Fortnite, this game also has a toxic community. But I can say it's probably not as bad as Fortnite's. Every now and then, you're eventually going to have one of those asshole players in competitive who's extremely toxic, curses you out, refuses to play a certain character like a healer, damage, or tank, or maybe even worse, purposely camp in the spawn room or leave in the middle of the competitive match, which would then cost the game. Which then will lead me to reason number 3, which is a broken competitive system. Like, as I mentioned, if someone leaves the game in the middle of the competitive match, you shouldn't lose any SR. You shouldn't be punished for that because that's not your fault that the person had left the game or disconnected from the game. The whole team should not be blamed for the actions of one person. Sometimes the ranking system can be bullcrap at times. Like one time, I had 9 wins in 1 loss. They put me in mid-gold. And that's been happening since my very last rant I made, which was back in November of 2019. But after the 4th time in the 4th season of the 9 wins and 1 loss, I finally got the rank that I should have gotten, which was Platinum. But it's a shame that it took me 4 seasons in 2 years just to finally get that rank. That's one thing that should have never happened. And one thing Overwatch did during 2019, they made one big flaw into their competitive system, which then they added role queue, which basically took freedom of choice away and can only play a certain character if they were in that category. Like, I made this example before. Like, I'm a D.Va main, for example. Sometimes I want to play Junkrat Soldier or Go Mercy. You couldn't do that. But thankfully, that ended up being fixed, and they brought back open queue, but then they added role queue on the side, so you can either play one or the other. But the question is, Why didn't they do that in the first place? Adding in roll queue would have never been a problem if you would have just put it in separately from open queue. If you would have just did that, there would have been no problem. But before I get to the conclusion, I want to talk about Overwatch 2. The weirdest thing is, after I uploaded my Overwatch rant back in 2019, a couple weeks after that, then Blizzard announces Overwatch 2. And the craziest thing is, there has been a large number of updates since they announced Overwatch 2. Is it just me that I find it weird that a gaming company would then launch a mass number of updates right after you announce another game? But the question is, why didn't you add those updates in the first place, back during the time when the game really needed it? Like, I can list a couple examples. Soldier's Gun got a big buff, except it has a lot of recoil. And Torbjorn's Molten Core had changed as well. And the list just goes on. But in conclusion, I can say this game does not have a large amount of toxicity. The game just has a lot of problems as a whole that needs to be fixed. I know they've been doing that already with a couple of their limited time game modes like Archives, Lucio Ball, but they should do that with all game modes, like Junkenstein's Revenge. Like, who's gonna be excited about playing Junkenstein's Revenge for the 6th year in a row? And the layout and the setting is completely the same as it originally has been since day one. And another way that you can actually improve the game and make it more fun is if you add more competitive modes that doesn't have to do with taking the game so seriously. Like, remember back in 2016 where they had competitive May Snowball Fence? But that was the only time May Snowball Fence had a competitive system. But sadly, it has never had a competitive game mode since that time. Like, if they would have just kept doing that more often, more people would be having more fun with the game, and people wouldn't have to be taking it so seriously. Like, they can just have a competitive game mode, earn competitive points, and have fun with the game at the same time without having to take it so seriously or dealing with toxic players. And I know I'm probably going to get this question. Are you still going to buy Overwatch 2? I've still been debating if I'm going to or not, but there's probably a high chance I'm probably not going to because it's basically just going to be the same as it has been in this game that I've been playing for almost 5 years now. And I'm basically just playing the same game, but in another game. But I still do play this game every now and then. This game is not that bad, but it's not all that good either. But I'm pretty sure a lot of OG Overwatch players like me would agree that this game is not as fun as it used to be back in the old days. But I do have to give it to the game developers that they didn't cave into social pressure. They didn't get involved in the whole BLM fiasco last year. They were one of the only few games that did not shove their political agenda down my throat. That's one thing that I give them really huge respect for. But I really do miss Overwatch. I miss the old days of it, and I always look back at it. I look at all the old videos that I've taken on Overwatch and all the great memories that I have made in the last 5 years. And one more thing. I know some people are probably going to think, what game would I rather play since I've already ranted on both of them? Do I prefer either Fortnite or Overwatch? But that's going to be a video for another day. But what do you guys think of Overwatch today? What do you think of the game as a whole? Tell me in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for the continuous support as we now begin to close in on 2,130 subscribers. You all are the best. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for the support. And I will see you all in the next video. This is Thunderbite29, sign off.
I am ready to activate the sound barrier. Oh, let's break it. Damn!